I'm going to try something a little different today. This camera has a mode called HDR. That's high dynamic range. And what it does, it records in 60 frames a second. And every other frame, it decreases the exposure so the highlights don't get blown out. And then it plays it back in 30 frames per second at a mixture of the two. So I just want to see how that looks. I don't need, and I'm restricted, I should say, to HD instead of 4K. So we're just running this in 4K, but I'm just going to talk about my car today, so it's not that big a deal. The last couple of nights were wonderful for the northern lights. Last night it wasn't as spectacular as the night before. You can just go out that night before and you can just see the red lights coming up in the north. But both nights were pretty wonderful. Well, you can see down here, I fixed my fence. It's really, can't even tell where exactly it's at. If you look at the second string or barbed wire there, it's got a little repair section in it, and the one below it's repaired too. That's where it was at. Found a post in there, went a little bit deep with the post, but we made it work. Well, my third car I bought was a 76 Ford Cobra 2. I always wanted one of those. A kid in high school had a really nice one, although his might have been like a 78. And trying to think what color his was. I think it might have been black and gold. Maybe it's a King Cobra, something like that. Anyway, thought, well, that's a doable deal. This is like in 1981 or 82. And so we found one at Sweets Motors in Valley Center along 81 Highway. Well, that guy, I thought he was old then, but he's been selling cars there probably until, I'm guessing, 10 years ago. But he's kind of known for selling pickups out of there shortly after that. But he had this car, so I went and looked at it. Wasn't in perfect shape by any means, but I decided, well, I could live with it. Had a 302. I think it had about 70,000 miles on it. So I bought it, and I proceeded to make a hot rod out of it. What I did, I found some a 289 had been taken apart, and I used those 289 heads on it, and I put a competition cams 268 high energy cam in it. They were known to give good low end performance, a lot more higher RPM power, but not be so radical. So that's kind of a hot deal at the time. It's advertised 268 duration, but really you want to measure those at 50 thousandths lift, and it had about 218 degrees, if the specs I looked at were right, which made it not too radical, but not exactly stock either. They had some little milder ones, but anyway, so I proceeded to do that. I think I put new rings in it too. So that was quite the chore, doing that in the car. You know, pulling the heads and pulling the pistons out and all that. But hey, I was able to do it. I think I had trouble though with the rocker studs. Those 289s just had press-in studs. So what you had to do is get those studs out of there and then put screw-in ones. You had to tap the holes. But I think that was the car I ran into serious problems with the studs breaking using like a Mr. Gasket brand, just kind of a hot rod parts brand. And they had a locking nut at the top to hold the rocker arm tight. And what would happen, that rocker arm would fatigue that stud where that nut gripped it. That nut was just a self-locking nut, and I think it rocked on that stud just enough, and it crystallized those studs. So the fix was to get some different studs and then put some, call them poly locks, I believe, on the top, where he had a nut that ran down. Then he had a little Allen screw in the middle to hold the nut tight to the stud, and that solved that problem. It ran pretty good. I think I put a shift kit in the tranny. Had a C4 automatic. Yeah, it didn't really give too much trouble. Those 302s are pretty solid motors. Everything was stock on the car. Had some aluminum wheels. Some little, but they were just 13-inch wheels. 4 studs per wheel. But that really didn't change until after the Fox body cars came on. They went to finally a 5 lug. But they kept the 4 lug up through, oh, I don't even know, late 90s maybe. Pretty ridiculous. I mean, they didn't give any trouble really. Suspension wise, that car is based on a Pinto, but it had like staggered shocks in the rear to keep the bounce low, so it wouldn't, you know, get into a oscillating motion or wheel hop, what they would call. Yeah, it did okay. Paint wasn't terrific. Remember, this is only like a 6-year-old car, and it really had developed a little bit of rust around the rear window. And I took it to Brenneman's body shop in Newton to get it repainted, and he had to repair some of that rust around the rear window. They treated it with something there, and as far as I know, solved that problem. But they did a good job painting it, except it had stripes on it, and when he put the stripes on the front bumper, somehow he got that slightly crooked. Not enough that I was going to have him totally redo it or anything. I don't remember if he painted on stripes or what. Probably did. But the rest of the car looked decent. It already had putty in the door he ran across when he was stripping the paint on it. Had to repair that. Probably cost me, I'm guessing, $1,200 or so. Get it painted. I thought that was a lot of money at the time. Remember, the car probably only cost $3,000, or not even that. Got a massive hedge post here. This is where they put that line in here, and they went to had to. It's going to get about 70 degrees today, I think. A little bit breezy out of the south. I was going to mention on that car, that Cobra 2, I had put a Edelbrock Torker manifold on it, and it was one of two models that Edelbrock made where they set the carburetor at an angle, and the idea was there to give a little more longer length runner, maybe a little more equal distribution. It seemed to work okay. I'd bought a later version called the Torker 2 for my Capri, and it had some developments in it that was different. It actually had two torque humps in it because of the way the plenum was made, whereas this original Torker only had a kind of a peak power and 1 RPM range. That dual torque design is what all these fuel injected engines with the big intakes made out of plastic. Later on they had that kind of design. Big plenums tuned to give a low RPM torque rise, but also worked well at higher RPM. I think I just had a 600 Holly on it, which is plenty. A dual exhaust made for it. Just stock manifolds. I did buy a set of headers for it, but I never put them on. Headers are just a pain. They're always leaking at the engine. You got to replace the gaskets all the time. The bolts loosen up. Just not real good for the street. Okay for the strip, but street, much rather just have the manifolds. That's my experience. Ooh, look at that. Got a crane. Yeah, I didn't expect to see a crane down here. There's just a very little water here by the bridge. Road grader went through here about a week ago. You can see how they brought some of this dirt over. Really didn't dig down very deep, so don't look the best. There's another case. They're just using a tree, a hedge tree that was here, for a corner post. You can see my video on Osage orange or hedge trees on YouTube there. Kind of interesting tree. A lot of people outside these areas have never heard of them, especially if you go out west. Although they originated, I believe, up from Texas and Oklahoma, kind of a strip in there. But they got then widely used in mid to late 1800s from probably Illinois as far west as probably middle of Kansas, I would guess. I don't know if you can see it. They had painted this little stump coming off this hedge just to mark it, but look how charcoal the rest of the trunk is. It's just black. There's one over here too. They had that fire come through here all the way from Highway 50 out to my paved road, which is a mile, here about 3 years ago. Little sparrows or something in these thickets. I need to find out what kind of birds they are. I can't tell by just naked eye. I need to take a close-up of them. I got my Merlin app on my phone, I guess. It's been making enough noise. Well, I got it running now. The wind's picked up and I got a lot of noise from the trees. Oh, they must have come through here with a tractor. Totally watered it up here. Oh, jeez. I mean, look at this. That's what you got. Now, look how gumbo-y my shoe is there. You see all that dirt there on my shoe. It's like at 1:30 now. Just not a lot of bird activity. I can hear them in the distance. It's not picking it up. Oh. Look at this guy's going to try to come through that. Turning around. Good deal. Oh God, like I just don't care. 40 mile an hour down a road like this. All kinds of debris in the middle of it. Well, as I was saying before we was interrupted, this water extends so far along this road now. Things are drying up though. Frogs flopping in. Usually some blackbirds here. You know, I said I had a 600 Holly on that thing, and I thought the mileage was poor on it. I remember getting 18 with it stock once going up to Manhattan, but I never got that good with that Holly on it. Thought, well, I'd try one of these Carter Cobras. It's a Cobra that Edelbrock took over and called them Edelbrocks today, but it was Carter originally. I tried one of them on, and I can't say it really ran any better or got better fuel mileage. I didn't have it on there a whole long time before I decided to go ahead and trade that thing off. In '83, had my eyes on a '83 Ranger diesel, and I found one in Cheney. I ended up trading this Cobra 2 in on that, and that served me well for years. It's a little breezy walking towards the south here, so I put that mic underneath my shirt, see if that blocks the wind better. Probably sound a little bit more muffled. You can see how deep these ruts are here. I say it must be 1.5 feet in the middle there. It just stayed so wet. I mean, that's just ridiculous. See how it glistens. You can push some trees away here. See if I can fall down. I'm going to try. I'm going to step right there. See, there's even a T-post bent over and sticking out of the ground right there. Okay. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I knew what I was doing this time. So the bottom of my shoe's pretty muddy. See where these people turned around right here. Now the birds are coming out, kind of following us along the road here. Got the cottonwood in the back. Got a woodpecker up there, I can hear it. Yeah, they're blessed with beautiful clouds like this. Of course, they're shooting right into the sun. I don't know how that's going to look. I can kind of see them up there. Some polarizer action on that sky. Oh, just lost my hat. Go back and pick it back up. Okay. When I'm walking with this gimbal, I have it set on a mode called pan follow, and when I hit the trigger, it tries to center it so it keeps the horizon level, but also fore and aft, so the horizon will be, I haven't looked at the screen now, but it's probably right in the middle. I a lot of times point the camera slightly down. I can just do that with a little trigger on the gimbal. See how it handles my highlights of the sun hitting me directly from this angle. Got the camera on automatic ISO, so it controls how bright and dark it gets by that. My shutter and f-stop are set. I'd mentioned that I got a 289 and I took the heads off of that and overhauled them and put them on that 302. I remember when I picked up that engine from parents of a kid that went off to college, had the engine apart and sitting in a grocery cart. Kind of used that as an engine stand. Oh, and I think I've got a picture of it with the intake, that torquer manifold sitting on top of that block without the heads, sitting on top of that grocery cart. It was sitting on the farm where I grew up, and it was in the chicken house that was later converted to a single car garage. And I just worked on the car in front of the garage. We didn't have no place at that time to put it inside, really. Oh, that kid in high school had that black Cobra. His parents' car was a Trino with a 429 in it. Like probably a 72, 73 model. But just in stock form, those cars weren't that fast. I mean, they could be. Just a little bit of cam work and compression. Those would be a force to be reckoned with. He thought he was pretty hot in that car, though.